Hey, I'm ChristopherJMUA and welcome back to my channel. Unless you have never been here, of course, then welcome. I'm so glad you've stopped by. Today we are reviewing the Huda Beauty Naughty Nude palette. This is an 18 pan palette for $67 and it has some really interesting shades inside. Some that seem to be quite controversial, so I'm really curious to see what the shades in here look like, how they perform on the eye, as well as how they live swatch. So if you guys are interested in the same thing and you want to know a little bit more about the Huda Beauty Naughty Nude palette, then stay exactly where you are, keep doing exactly what you're doing, and keep on watching. So the unit carton for this palette is clear with naughty written over the front of it, which is super cute. It's not raised or anything, it's just printed into it, I guess. Or maybe that's part of the palette, I don't know yet. Then if we flip it over, it looks like the back has all of the ingredients for the shades printed on it. And then we flip it over so that we can open it. And here we have the palette itself. Okay, so the naughty was actually on the palette, not just the unit carton. The unit carton is completely clear on the front. So the palette actually has Naughty Nude on the front of it. It probably, yeah, it is raised a little bit. The nude is not. It just feels like a piece of paper, like a sticker on the front of a clear component. It kind of feels like the Mercury Retrograde packaging. Then if we flip it over, it says Naughty Nude and the ingredients on the back. This is also a sticker on the clear plastic packaging. Then if we open it, it has a little clip latch on the bottom, so it just kind of clips into itself. And let's see if it has a protective sheet on the inside. I do not feel one. So here is the Huda Beauty Naughty Nude palette. Wow, that shade at the bottom looks so weird. Ugh, it looks like a fungus or something. So that slippery shade at the bottom right corner, that's the one that has caused so many people to question this palette and the quality of this palette because there's some weird glossy stuff in it. But we're going to find out today what it's like. So we're going to get started. I'm going to go ahead and zoom you guys in so that we can get going on the swatches. The first shade is the shade Filthy. Passion, Shameless, Please Me, Hypnotic, Hard, Untamed, Irresistible, Flower Power, RUFF, Spicy, Arouse, then the really weird goopy shade, Slippery, Tantric, Naughty, Provocative, Desire, and the last shade is Juicy. Okay, and there we have every single shade from the Huda Beauty Naughty Nude Eyeshadow Palette. As always, I will insert photos of the swatches, one with flash here, and one without flash here. And as always, here's a video close-up of every single swatch. Okay guys, those swatches were pretty phenomenal. I gotta admit, these shadows feel really good. Now swatches have nothing to do with the quality, we all know that. I'll say that every time. I'll never stop saying it because swatches mean literally nothing for how a shadow performs on the eye. However, that slippery shade, the gross one with the little balls in it, is very weird and inconsistent. I think I swatched it like 3 or 4 times to build up the swatch, and each time I did, I got a different placement of color. I bet I could swatch it now with 4 different fingers. Let's do this. 1 swatch, 2 swatch, 3 swatch, blue swatch. Look at me, I'm Dr. Seuss. Okay, let's see what this looks like swatched. 1 swatch, 2 swatch, 3 swatch, 4 swatch. That's just not pretty. You see, at the beginning of the swatch, down here, it's like a really deep brown red sort of color, but then it changes to an orange over here, and each swatch does that. So it's like a duochrome, but it's like a patchy gloss at the same time. I just don't understand the point, you know? In my opinion, the shimmers and the mattes both from Huda, based on my review of the Mercury Retrograde palette, which I'll leave that one linked here if you haven't seen that, but I enjoyed the quality of the shadows. I liked the pigmentation and the metallic sheen the shades had to them. Albeit some of the swirly shades that she makes can get a little inconsistent whenever they're swatched or put on the eye, because if you don't swirl the brush in the whole pan, you're only picking up part of color. But I always enjoyed the quality, so I don't really know why this is added in specifically. I wonder if Sephora says anything about this. So this is a reimagination of the new Nude palette, apparently. It's got 5 ultra wearable textures, they claim. There's 8 velvety soft pigmented mattes, 5 high shine metallics, 3 luxe multi-reflective marble creams, and 1 mesmerizing marble matte cream, and 1 shimmering gloss hybrid with encapsulated bronze and berry pearls to take your playtime to the next level. So I guess it's naughty to mimic wet skin, I guess was the point of that. I don't know. Either way, we're gonna go ahead and go in and create a look with this palette. I started out by priming my eyes with my Gerard Cosmetics Clean Canvas Eye Base in the shade Fair, and I used my Sigma Cut Crease E62 brush for that. This brush has seen better days. It is not a clean, flat brush anymore, so it's not a cut crease brush anymore, but it does a really great job at laying down the eyeshadow base. Okay, here goes. I think I'm going to start with the Morphe M513 Fluffy brush and go into the shade Hypnotic and use that as my transition shade. And with this shade, it's going to go right into the crease, right on these outer edges. And I'm just going to start by tapping it on very lightly, seeing where it takes me. You know, if this wasn't a review and I just wanted to play with this palette, I would probably just put a neutral shade all in the crease and use the shade Slippery, the gloss shade, all over the lid and just leave it like that all day and see how that shade would wear and if it would be cute. Because you never know, I mean, it could actually be sort of cute in the end. Surely somebody tried it at least when they were making the palette. And I'm just gonna go in here and lightly start pulling this shade out into a little bit more of a wing shape. I do also have a new liner from Lavender Boutique. It's the Cloud Magic liner. And I wanna use this today to give it a shot and see what it's like. If you guys don't know what Lavender Boutique is, I will leave a video linked up here. I featured them in my Full Face of Black Owned Brands video. She makes some bomb lashes. And this is a liner that is also a lash adhesive. So I'm excited to give that a shot at the same time. Now this shade is going on very smoothly, having no issues out of it. It's going on like a slightly peachy toned brown wood. It builds up nicely, it blends out nicely. I'm having no problems with it. I'm also blowing this out up and higher closer to the brow bone. That way, whenever I go to add in other colors, I'm not gonna completely cover this up. Like I said, I want this to be my main transition shade, so it's going everywhere. There we go. That's really pretty. That's soft, built up. It looks silky smooth. I like it. Next, going in with this Morphe Pointed Fluffy Blender brush, I wanna go into the shade Filthy and stick Filthy right in my inner corner. We're getting naughty up in here. We're just gonna put this soft pink right up in this inner area of my crease and really blow it out. We're gonna make that pink very pink. I'm not getting a lot of kickback in the pan, a little bit, but really not a lot at all. I can see it sticking to the edges around the shadows. Because the palette itself is clear, you can really see it whenever it sticks on the side, but it's easy to wipe away and it doesn't leave any streak marks behind, which is really nice because I personally like to keep a clean palette. It really bothers me if it gets all gunky around the edges of the palette, so I try to keep it as clean as possible. So a clear plastic or acrylic is really nice as packaging. Now with this shade, I'm filling it in and fluffing it up all the way to the brow so that I can start working it backward into the shade Hypnotic. Then once the color is placed, I'll go back in with the M513 and just pull Hypnotic in a little bit more, but closer to the actual crease rather than lifted up to the brow bone. This way I just get a nice seamless blend between Hypnotic and Filthy, but they kind of have a flow so that it looks like my inner corner goes up and out and my crease pulls just like that. Great start. Pink to brown. Love that. The blend that I'm getting between these shades, even just these two, is phenomenal. This looks so gorgeous already, and it's just the beginning. Okay, well I'm gonna quit being a lame-o, whatever that means, and I'm gonna go ahead and start deepening things up, but I'm also going to maroonify things. So I'm gonna go into the shade Untamed using my Morphe M433 brush. And since this is a natural bristle brush, this picks up a lot of pigment, but it doesn't really create that much kickback in the pan, which is nice. It's just not a super messy palette so far. Now starting here just on the outer edge of the crease, and I'm just patting color down. And then once I feel like my placement is where it needs to be, which it pretty much is now, I filled in the deepest portion of the crease. Now I'm gonna start taking this and just using circular motions, and I'm gonna pull this all the way across and through, and I'm just barely tickling the line of my crease all the way to the inner corner, being really careful not to blow it out too large, pulling it back, and then blending upward just a little bit. That way this color will still be visible once I relax my forehead, open my eyes, and look forward. You guys know the drill for all us hooded lid folk. We have to do that. We just have to do that. We have to make our new crease so that it looks like our eyes are bigger and not hooded. If you're going for that vibe, which I am today. I'm also going to work this shade out here, pulling it into more of that wing shape. Okay, beautiful. Now that that shade is laid down everywhere I want it to be laid down, I'm going to go back in with the same M513 that I used earlier in the shade Hypnotic. I'm not taking any more pigment onto the brush, just leaving it as is. I'm just going to go right over this edge of Untamed. Just blend the two shades together so that they have a seamless blend. Ooh, she is looking sultry and naughty. That's really pretty though, I like that. I do have a little bit of a patch in the crease where the color just didn't stick down, but I would bet you if I just pack on more color that would probably go away. But I'm not really worried about it right now because I'm still gonna go even deeper than this. So that's really not a problem just yet. Alrighty, now I'm gonna use the Morphe M456, the mini M433 brush, and I'm gonna go into the shade Spicy. And Spicy is gonna be my deepest shade that I'm gonna use on the thinnest portion of my crease, so like the lowest part, like right in here. But I'm not gonna blow this one out as big as the other two shades. I'm just gonna deepen that, sort of that patchy part, that part that was left that was only patchy. I'm pretty much just putting it right on top of there. That way it can be my deepest, most shade and just really help define the crease area. And it can also help be the transition shade between the crease and the lid if I do happen to use something a little bit deeper. So I guess what I'm gonna start with for shimmer shades on the lid is the shade Irresistible. And I'm gonna use the Morphe M124 brush to start applying that. I'm gonna just use a dry brush, no setting spray, no finger application yet, and we'll go from there. This shade is building up really beautifully though. It's starting to get very foiled. I mean, you can see on the monitor that it's starting to reflect light, and it's just a really pretty soft mauve-y purple. It does build up very nicely with the dry brush. It has taken quite a few layers. Even though I've packed on probably 5 or 6 times, it still doesn't look textured, so it's not getting that cakey shadow look. And I always try to avoid that if possible. It's time to lighten up, and I'm going to use the shade Tantric, and I'm going to use the Luxie 246 Precision Crease Brush. And Tantric here is gonna go right in my inner corner. This brush didn't pick up anything. There is only like the base pigment on the brush, but none of the shimmer. Why don't a flat brush work? Well, let's try and see what happens. Yeah, no, nothing. Little tiny pieces of glitter, that's all that happened. Time to use a foam tip applicator. I'm gonna go into Tantric again, and it picks some up. So let's see if it'll go on the eye now. Oh, wow, that is very intense. It literally looks like I just picked up flakes of eyeshadow and stuck them on my eye, which is exactly what I did. So I'm gonna try to spread it out with the foam tip applicator first, just so it can establish some shape. Then I'll go in with the Luxie brush that I tried to use earlier and just pull that shade into Irresistible. That's pretty. I really don't feel like it should be that hard to pick up an eyeshadow though. Let me try to push really hard. Yeah, that's still not working. All it's doing is compacting the shade more and more. Okay, well that's it. We know now that Tantric can only be used with your finger, a foam tip applicator, or a fluffy brush. Because you gotta break through that first layer of shadow that's down there. That's unfortunate. It really is. Now I'm gonna use this short little from BBH Cosmetics number 5 brush from the Take Me Back to Brazil collection. And I'm gonna go into the shade Provocative. And see, what I was talking about earlier with the swirls and the possible inconsistencies is that look at the shade Provocative. So we have this really deep dark chocolate up at the top and then this gold at the bottom. If I go in with my pinky along this side and swatch it, it's gonna be dark chocolate, browny, maroony purple with gold shimmer. You can see that it's split. That's not like a duochrome reflect. That is literally just a split. Then if I swatch it just on this side, at the bottom, I get solid gold, or like maroon gold, whatever the shade is. So that could greatly change what shade the shadow is on my eye. So if someone wanted to recreate what I created and they don't happen to grab it from the right spot, they're not gonna get the same result. So the only real way to guarantee consistency is by going over and over in a shade, just over and over in different spots so that you're making sure that you mix everything together so that you don't get any too much of one shade. Anyway, I'm gonna put this shade on the outer edge now of the lid and see if this will help me deepen up some of the lid. Ooh, wow, that's very golden. The swatch of that shade was a lot darker, I thought. Wow, that is a lot more red. That almost looks like a cranberry kind of color. It's really pretty. I just didn't anticipate it. And now we are to the point where I go ahead and do my face makeup off camera. That way I can get ready so that we can finish off the lower lash line and the brow bone highlight. If I do a brow bone highlight this time. Don't know if I will. We'll find out when I get there and kind of get a feel for how this look is going. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and go off camera, get my face makeup done, contour, lips, lashes, lavender boutique liner, and bring everything together so that we can finish off the lower lash line. So give me just a few moments for you, not even one, and I will be right back. I'm now going to use this Indie Beat Cosmetics Bring Into Funk drumstick brush. It's also got a little bit of a fluffy end to it, but it's also a flat brush, just a little bit bigger than the previous one. And I'm going to go into the shade Rough. Not like a dog, rough, but like naughty, rough, you know? And I'm just going to smoke out naughty with rough. I'm also going to take this very teeny tiny Morphe brush. It's a flat-ish C-shaped brush. It's actually not flat. It's more of like a C shape, but it has sort of a flat ending. Anyway, I'm going to go into the shade Spicy, and I'm going to cover the black wing that I have with the shade Spicy. I think that's going to make a gorgeous wing topper, if you will. It'll kind of lighten up the black, but it'll still really fit the look, I think. Okay, that's actually really super beautiful. It is now time to move on to the very last step, and for that I'm going to use this other Morphe brush, but this is a pointed, sort of like an inner corner highlight brush, and I'm going to use it for an inner corner highlight. I'm going to go into the shade Flower Power, but I'm going to swirl the brush in it because I really don't want to have to pick between gold or silver, although silver is what I'm going for here. Okay, maybe I cheated and grabbed a little bit extra silver. And I'm just gonna pop this right on the inner corner. Actually, first, I'm gonna spray the brush because there's a ton of pigment on this brush, and if I don't, it's gonna go everywhere. I know it, I just know it. Okay, she's sprayed. Let's try that again. She got a little messy, but it really wasn't bad. Wasn't bad at all. And now I have a blinding inner corner highlight. And you know, luckily, that's not too golden. It's got enough of sort of a like mauve-y maroony undertone that it still works with this. Even though in the pan it really doesn't look like it's going to, it does. I don't want to know what it would have looked like if I wouldn't have picked more of the silver than the gold though, because I do really like that silver. Alas, that is it for the eye look. Now I just need to finish off the look with a liner in the waterline, and I'm also going to finish off my lower lash mascara using the L'Oreal Air Volume Mega Mascara. So give me just a second to do that off camera, and I'll be right back to give my final thoughts on the Huda Beauty Naughty Nude Eyeshadow Palette. See you guys in just a second. I know you guys typically want just a yes or no if I'd recommend it or not, but there are some palettes that just can't be answered that way, you know? Because, like with this one, I would recommend this palette if I could get it for, say, $40 or maybe even $50. I might go to $50. But for almost $70, I want more shades to work. Now granted, this look consisted of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think 9 shades out of this palette, which is half. So that actually is a pretty fair amount. So I was able to use half the palette, and I did get a good result. Just not being able to use Tantric with a brush made it super disappointing. The idea of not having a continuous color story for everyone at all times is sort of annoying, until of course you get into the palette more, then the shades become blended. And this whole slippery shade, that is just weird. I don't understand why it's in there, what the purpose was. I cannot get it to swatch evenly with an even color. Only time I could see that ever being beneficial is if you just wanted a glossy lid with a slight maroon tint to it. That's not even cute looking. I guess all in all, I would say just wait until Sephora has a 20% off discount or more. I mean, if you can get a bigger discount than that, then go for it. Or if you can use your points for $5 off or $10 off, whatever the amount is off. If you can just get some discount on this, then I would say go ahead, splurge, get it, because the formula within the shades is great. I do love the Huda formula, the normal Huda formula, and the swirly shades can work well once you get past the swirl and you can mix them in together. And they do look beautiful, but for $67, I don't feel like I should have that many problems. You know what I mean? Anyway guys, that's my thoughts. I know that really isn't probably what a lot of you wanted to hear, but that's just what I think for this one. I loved the Mercury Retrograde palette. I even really like the Medium Nude 9-pan palette. And I thought I was gonna love this one. It's just very expensive. But you guys know that you can always take my opinion with a grain of salt if you want to, because that's exactly what it is. It's just my opinion. It's just my thoughts on the palette. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys like this palette? Have you used it? Have you gotten to watch any other reviews of it? What are your thoughts? Please let me know down in the comments. You guys know that I always love to have a conversation with you. I try to always respond to comments that I haven't responded to if there's a way to respond to it, just because I like talking to you guys. If you did enjoy this video, it'd be really great if you wanted to leave me a big thumbs up down below. Just let me know that you like my video, you like my content, maybe that you even like me. I don't know, you know, it's not the craziest thing that could happen. Also, if you guys want to see any of my merch, you can click the link down below to my Teespring account. I don't have a shelf yet, but we'll get there one day, you know, someday, soon, maybe. And if you like this look and you want to see more looks like them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok. My username is the same for everything. It's just ChristopherJMUA. And if you gain nothing out of this video, if you gain nothing out of any of my videos, please at least gain this. And that is to always remember and to never forget that you are absolutely beautiful. And I love you guys. Bye.